So this story broke yesterday, and my first reaction to it was, who's shocked by this? How is this actually news? This is one of those stories that had it happened in any other time in American history, it would be front page news on every publication in the country. Every news network would be carrying this story, and everyone would be in agreement that, you know what? We can't allow Russian propaganda to be spread in the United States. I'm a child of the 80s, okay? And I just look back at that time in my life growing up, and if you'd have told me back then that we'd be having this conversation in 2024, I would have never really believed it. And I wouldn't have believed that there were people out there that have actually defended a headline like this. But if you've heard about it, let me know if you were shocked. If you're just learning about it right now in this video, leave a comment and let me know if you're surprised when you read this headline. The DOJ indicts Russian nationals in a $10 million scheme to spread covert propaganda to U.S. audiences. Now, this here is from Brett Mycelis from the Midas Touch Network. I'm going to go ahead and warn you guys up front. There are some names in this video or in this article that I cannot pronounce, so I'm just going to own it. But here we go. The Department of Justice has unsealed an indictment charging 2 Russian nationals with conspiring to violate the Foreign Agents Registration Act and money laundering in a scheme to covertly influence U.S. audiences. They both remain at large, according to the DOJ's announcement today. The indictment reveals that they were employees of a Russian state-controlled media outlet, RT, played pivotal roles in funneling nearly $10 million into a Tennessee-based online content creation company referred to in court documents as U.S. Company One. The content company, unbeknownst to its viewers, was funded and directed by RT to produce pro-Russian videos aimed at American social media users. This company is believed to be Tenet Media, who touts right-wing hosts Lauren Southern, Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, and others as part of their roster. Let's scroll on down here. The indictment remarks on its website, U.S. Companies describes itself as a network of heterodox commentators that focus on Western political and cultural issues. This phrase matches with Tenet's slogan, which appears on their website. The indictment further states that they work together to deceive U.S. online commentators 1 and 2, who respectively have over 2.4 and 1.3 million YouTube subscribers. These subscriber counts mentioned in the indictment match the number of YouTube subscribers for the accounts of Benny Johnson and Tim Pool, respectively. So again, folks, who is really stunned by this? We've all been watching these content creators for years, and they absolutely have been pro-Russia every step of the way. Now, they're saying they're the victims in this story. They're saying that they had no knowledge of where the money was coming from. Tim Pool came out with a tweet saying that he didn't realize that he was pushing pro-Russian propaganda, that he had no idea where the money was coming from. But when you watch this video, that's just kind of hard to believe. Take a look.
Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine is our enemy, being funded by the Democrats. I will stress this again. One of the greatest enemies of our nation right now is Ukraine. They are expanding this war. Now, don't get me wrong. I know you've got criminal elements of the U.S. government pushing them and guiding them and telling them what to do. Ukraine is now accused, a German warrant issued for blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline, triggering this conflict. Ukraine is the greatest threat to this nation and to the world. We should rescind all funding and financing, pull out all military support, and we should apologize to Russia.
So let's go ahead and give Tim Pool the benefit of the doubt here, and let's say that he did not know where the money was coming from. He's still pushing pro-Russian talking points. He's still calling Ukraine our enemy. So he was on their side regardless. It's not a flex for him to come out and say, I didn't know I was doing this. Dude, you were doing it whether they were giving you money or not. All this says is they looked over at you and said, hey, there's our guy. He's already given our talking points, so let's get behind him and push him to the moon. And what's even more comical about this is Tim Pool says that anyone out there who is guilty of treason deserves the death penalty. I wonder if he still feels that way. Roll the clip.
Laura was saying, take the gloves off, stop being nice to them, fuck them. And I said they should all be arrested. There should be lists. Laura said we should give anyone who committed treason the death penalty, and then the show gone. Because YouTube doesn't allow calls for the death penalty.
So, yeah, I'm sure he's going to be walking that comment back pretty hard. And I'm sure that MAGA is going to twist this into, oh, this is just another one of those Democrat Russia hoax. What's so funny about this next clip from Jesse Waters? I don't know if he wrote this himself or someone wrote it for him, but this might have been the truest thing he's ever said on the network. Take a look.
And if we see things online about DEI or migrant crime or even record inflation, it could be Russian propaganda. And anybody who emails this stuff around or says it on TV could be a Russian agent and should be under investigation. This show tonight has all the earmarks of Russian propaganda. How do we know when Trump campaign officials appear on primetime, they're just not really Russian cutouts whose phones need to be tapped?
I love how he sits there with that little smirk on his face, and he's trying to be all sarcastic, and he's trying to have a gotcha moment when actually he's the one that got there, because he's sitting there. That's the truest thing he's ever uttered on Fox News. I would love to know if he was just reading off a teleprompter blindly, and was there a moment in his brain where he was going, wait a minute, I'm kind of giving it away here. But I'm sure he will continue to try to gaslight everybody and try to laugh this off and say, oh, the Democrats are just trying to cook up another Russia hoax. But to anyone out there who believes that, why wouldn't you take this more seriously? Why wouldn't you want to know where the information you were getting was coming from? And if your influencers that you like really were being paid by the Russians, shouldn't that be a red flag to you? Shouldn't you automatically kind of dial that back and go, wait a minute, maybe we've been listening to the wrong people here? I never thought we would be here at this point in American history where we're having this type of argument. I remember a time when we argued about the Iraq war, and some of us were opposed to being in Iraq and some of us thought we should be. I remember arguing with my Republican friends and them saying to me, we have to install democracy in the Middle East and we have to get rid of this evil tyrant. He's a dictator. His own people can't speak out against him. And yet Donald Trump comes out and says he'd like to be dictator on day one and would terminate the Constitution anytime he's seen fit, and they're perfectly okay with it, and suddenly they're on the side of the aisle with the Kremlin. How did the Republicans jump the shark so bad? How did they lose the plot? They were once upon a time the party that argued with me about getting rid of dictators, and now they're pushing propaganda for one, and the followers are okay with it, or they're just going to try to gaslight us and say that this isn't reality. They're going to say, oh, they're weaponizing the government against us. They're trying to censor us. That's not what this is about. If this is true and they were being paid to push this type of propaganda, folks, that should be a story that should be right now playing 24/7 on every station in this country. More people should take this seriously. And to be dead honest with you, I know we're never going to get it. I shouldn't even say this, but it's like I feel like the right owes us an apology on this one. Like, hey, you guys was trying to warn us about this the entire time. But no, they'll just continue to double down. They'll just continue to try to hammer down on this narrative. And like I said earlier, it doesn't matter to me if they were being paid or not. They were already doing it. They were already given those talking points, and someone looked over and said, hey, yeah, that's the guy we need to get behind and push to the moon. So, folks, I want to thank you guys so much for subscribing here on the YouTube channel. We have crossed over 300,000 subscribers. That's a milestone that I never thought we'd reach. But I truly appreciate y'all coming along on this journey with me, man. It's been a hell of a ride, and we're just going to keep pushing it forward, and we're going to keep calling this stuff out, and we're not going to be gaslit. You know, one of my best-selling items in my merch store is a design that Jess came up with that says, I refuse to be gaslit. And I don't wear my own merch, but I did buy that coffee mug. I did, because I'm like, I'm not going to continue to be gaslit. I've had so many people say, Brando, they've tried to call us crazy this entire time. And I'm like, yeah, they have. But we have to keep pushing forward, because I truly believe, folks, when this is all over, when this nightmare is finally over, we will have been on the right side of history. I truly believe that. And I don't know. I can't imagine what my grandfather would be thinking if he was alive today and I read him that story. I can't imagine the words and the names he would have for Tim Pool, but or any of those people. But let's just keep pushing forward. Let's keep calling out the truth. Let's keep bringing the receipts, because turns out those receipts are everywhere, folks.